Access granted.
Easy there, big guy. Welcome back to another edition of erelearnsart. Today I am providing my unsponsored review of Adobe Fresco. I would not have found out about Adobe Fresco without Chris Piasek's channel. He's a great resource for illustrators, so if you haven't checked him out yet, head on over to his channel after watching this video. Like any art program, there are pros and cons. Let's stay optimistic and go with the pros first. First, as we watch our dragon here being formed, let's talk about the hoarding of wealth by the the cost of Adobe Fresco. Hold on to your hats, folks, because this program is free. That's right, free. Now, you do need a tablet or a device you can draw on, and I would recommend a stylus, but even my usual preferred clipstudiopaint isn't free. The best feature I found in Fresco is the wide selection of vector brushes, and for that matter, vector tools. Why is that important? Well, some of you may not know the difference between vector and raster. When we draw in a raster image format, we can't expand or minimize without losing some resolution. Very quickly, everything looks like an original Nintendo game. While nostalgia is fun, it's a disappointing look. This doesn't happen with vector. You can expand without losing any resolution at all. Vector even has a fill tool, which is a vector fill tool. You can choose to have it as a raster fill tool as well, but it's really nice to be able to knock out a big section of color in a vector format if you're planning on doing things like making art for t-shirts. Fresco also automatically records your drawing process. I found recording and exporting these videos was really easy because I didn't have to do the usual screen capture that I do when I'm drawing for you guys in somewhere like clipstudiopaint, and exporting them was also fairly easy. Fresco is a lot easier to use than many other Adobe products such as an Illustrator or Photoshop. So if you've tried those before and weren't happy with their UI and UX, don't worry. Give this a shot and see how it works for you. It's free. There's also some nice perspective tools, and you can even drag the vector eraser to hit multiple disconnected areas. So let's talk about the places that Adobe might want to improve. The first was the magic wand tool. With all due respect, this was basically useless. I get it. I have a problem closing my line work. But even when doing everything I can to close that line work, like focusing to make sure it's closed, Fresco still can find open lines imperceptible to the naked eye. And I know they can do better with this, as clipstudiopaint proves it with its ability to automatically close fairly large gaps. I looked to see if there was a setting I could adjust like there is in clipstudiopaint, but I couldn't find one. Although a lot of this program is easy to use, I found that the shapes tool was not easy. Usually what ended up happening was that I just had some random shape out of a selection of 4 that just sat on the screen until I angrily clicked off of it. From what I can tell from Chris's videos, it does seem like you can add other shapes, but it's not very intuitive. Speaking of counterintuitive, merging layers also presented difficulty. Merging down covered up the top layer with the bottom layer. I found that the best way to combine layers was to select multiple layers and then combine them to maintain the layer order. I use a lot of blending to make my colors transition smoother. I love Fresco's wide selection of blenders, however, these can't be used on vector layers. So unless you're cell shading like the eagle here, it can be frustrating. One thing that I know Chris really liked about this program was the pose tool. Unfortunately, this was again a tool that I found difficult to use. I found it worked best with photos, but really just worked like liquify on the rest of my drawing. In fairness to Fresco, this could be that my lack of closed lines affected things, but again, something I would like to see improved upon in the future. Finally, I want to address something not necessarily related to Fresco, but important things to know to make drawing on a tablet easier. Assuming you already have a tablet, the first thing I would invest in is a good stylus. Yes, I believe pressure sensitivity does in fact help. The next thing you want to do is invest in a screen protector that has a paper-like feel to it. All of these images I have been drawing on a slick screen, and it can definitely get frustrating to not have that pencil drag, especially if you started as a traditional pencil and paper artist like myself. The pencil drag I'm talking about is kind of that resistance you get when you're pushing a pencil across a piece of paper. It actually helps to kind of slow you down and direct you in the right direction. Paper-like is the name brand of these protectors, but I know Chris himself actually had a video on a cheaper option that was the same or better, as you got more screen protectors for less money and it felt the same. I did also just attempt to add some brushes last night, and perhaps it was the cloud, but they take a while to load in your brush menu, and they weren't really labeled appropriately without any sort of preview to tell what you would be getting. As in, if you package something as spring brushes, it should have leaves, tree branches, etc. as brush options at least. You do also need an Adobe account to export as well. However, you can preview things like the time-lapse drawings without it. So if I was you at this point, you'd be asking me if I recommend Fresco. I think I got that right. Yes, I do recommend Fresco, with a caveat. I feel that Fresco is great for its portability. The fact that it appears to be leaps and bounds ahead of other programs in regards to vector considerations. However, due to how much time the Magic Wand and clipstudiopaint saves me, versus the constant precision selection and precision erasing I had to do in Fresco, I am not ready to say I will abandon my beloved clipstudiopaint altogether. Yet. Have you attempted to use Fresco? Leave a comment below with your thoughts on the program and what you liked and didn't like. Let me know if there's any other programs I should try. I'm thinking about circling back to Affinity, as they have now updated that to a free app as well. Also, let me know if you caught all the sound effects in the video. Please make sure you like and subscribe, and tell your friends to like and subscribe. And they tell 2 friends, and they tell 2 friends, and so on, and so on, and so on. Until we meet again, keep making art, you lovable weirdos.
Transfer of data complete.